If there was a fairy godmother for the Labour Party and she gave me three wishes in this election, here's what they would be. Firstly, I really wish they could take some of the total wealth of this country, the 9,400 billion that we have invested collectively in property, pensions and financial assets, and use some of it to bring up the basic standard of living of the less well off in this country. We are already, according to the Social Progress Index, the global index, second really or third only to Canada and I think Australia in the world in terms of overall social well-being in this country. That's a broad measure. Go and look it on TED Lectures, Michael Green. So we're not doing badly, but we can do better, as Ed Miliband always says. The problem is, as soon as you try to grab that wealth, it disappears. Imagine if we took, say, just 100 billion of that total wealth and we confiscated it and we gave it to the state. And then the state said, okay, we're going to sell these assets, generate the cash and give it to the poor or the needy or teachers or whatever we decided to do with it. As soon as you try to sell 100 billion of assets like that, what's going to happen? The price is going to collapse. And so you're not going to realise the asset value that you need in order to do the job that you need to do. Furthermore, you'll frighten the life out of all the people who are holding this property, these pensions and these financial assets. The stock market will crash. Foreigners will say, crikey, we're not going to put our money in the UK. People in the UK, both foreigners and residents, will say we better start getting our money out because the UK is starting to confiscate assets. So it's a counterproductive policy. You've got to think smarter. So I wish it could happen, but there has to be another way. My second wish for the Labour Party is that when it gets into power, it would think with its head as well as with its heart. I wish that every Labour supporter that I have come across in this election campaign hadn't said to me that they thought the Tories were evil and that they could never vote Tory. Because what it shows to me is that their emotions, their heart, is blocking them from seeing reality, really. If Labour could come into power thinking with their head, practically, as well as with their heart, then they would ask themselves this question: why has no Labour government ever left office with unemployment lower than when they came into power? Because the truth is that the price of a Labour administration is unemployment. The rich might be a little bit less rich, but they're still rich. But the poor and all those new unemployed, they're the ones that take the brunt of Labour letting its heart overrule its head. That is a wish that I think might come true if Labour come into power this time with a lower percentage of votes and seats than their main party rivals. It will be political suicide to force policies on the English electorate backed by a Scottish independence party that wants to break away from England. 2020, the English will have 2020 vision, and it will be the end of the Labour Party. So I wish with all my heart that Labour Party supporters would start to think with their head as well as with their heart. My third wish, if the fairy godmother of the Labour Party gave me three wishes, is that they would have a policy to double the average wage of teachers from 34,000 to 70,000 and link it to an improvement in the average educational attainment of people in the UK. Because at the moment, whereas everybody in Finland by the age of 30 has a higher level degree qualification, pretty much everybody, and other countries like Canada and Singapore. In the UK, 50% of this country is effectively unskilled, and they leave school every year, 50% of them roughly, without basic numeracy and literacy qualifications. Now that condemns those 50% to a cost of living crisis for the rest of their lives. They are unskilled and they get low-skilled, low-wage jobs. Now it's a problem because we have 1.5 billion people in China, in India, in Indonesia, and in the next 20 years from Africa, who, because of the internet, they don't have to go through an agricultural revolution. They can jump straight into an advanced economy with high skills, high wage, and that's what they're doing. If we want the UK to remain an advanced economy, there is no option but that we have to change our mindset and no longer accept children leaving school without basic maths and literacy qualifications. We've got to go from 50% to 95%. That's what we have to do. And there is very good research in the world which shows that the GDP of a nation and the Social Progress Index is directly linked to improvements in the average educational attainment of the country. So we know what's going to achieve that, and it's better teachers. We've all had magical teachers. We need every teacher to be a magical teacher. And the Holy Grail, research shows again, is that when people get to £70,000 per annum, this is a goal we'd like to have for the whole country, but at least start with teachers. They stop worrying about improving their material lot. They stop worrying about how to earn more money, and they start trying to improve the quality of their life and being some part of something bigger, a bigger and more important mission. And my feeling is that if we had a programme whereby teachers could earn £70,000 a year, collectively, in every school in this country, they wouldn't need head teachers. They would just do whatever it took to make sure that an English, Irish, Welsh and Scottish child had exactly the same chances of achieving a higher level degree qualification to get into the high skilled economy as a child born in Finland. That is my third and most important wish. It would cost, by the way, £18 billion, which is 1.2% of GDP. Now there is a proper wish. 1.2% of GDP is achievable because international lenders would not go on strike and stop lending to us. Taxpayers would not take their money away because they thought the economy was about to tank. Everybody in the world would recognise that the UK is about to launch on the most radical economic improvement programme in the world, namely educating everybody in the country. Now that is a real wish. So how can we get a fairy godmother to make these three wishes come true? And the answer is the Labour Party is not ready for government. It needs to go away and start thinking with its head as well as with their heart and come back with 2020 vision in 2020 with a programme to change this country that will actually work.